I remember the exact moment everything stopped feeling normal. It was 2:17 a.m., and the world around me felt unnaturally still, like reality itself had paused for something I couldn't see. My room was silent in a way that didn't feel peaceful, but empty, abandoned. The kind of silence where even your own breathing feels too loud, like you're disturbing something invisible. The ceiling fan above me rotated slowly, producing a faint mechanical click every few seconds, a small repetitive sound that only made the silence more noticeable. The air felt heavier than usual, thick and unmoving, pressing gently against my skin. My laptop was open in front of me, its pale blue light casting long deep shadows across my desk and walls. I hadn't planned to stay awake this late, but sleep hadn't come. It hadn't even tried. My mind was just restless, stuck in that awful limbo between exhaustion and awareness, unable to fully shut down. So, I did what most of us do when we don't want to be alone with our thoughts. I opened YouTube. At first, everything was normal. Recommended videos filled the screen. Random thumbnails, random faces, random titles designed to capture attention for a few seconds before being forgotten forever. I scrolled slowly, not really watching anything, just letting my eyes move across the screen. Nothing stood out. Nothing mattered. And then suddenly, without warning, my hand stopped moving. I didn't tell it to stop, it just did. Because something on the screen felt wrong. Not obviously wrong. Not in a way I could explain, just wrong. It was a video thumbnail, almost completely black, except for a faint image that was difficult to make out. At first I thought it was just another low-effort horror video, the kind that appears late at night when the algorithm runs out of normal things to show you. But then I read the title. Your Final Moments, 2:44 a.m. I stared at it for several seconds, waiting for my brain to process it properly. The words didn't feel like a title. They felt like a statement, a fact. My eyes moved down to the channel name, expecting something generic or familiar. But the name wasn't familiar at all. It was just random characters, a jumble of letters and numbers. No profile picture, no description, nothing. Then I noticed the view count. 3 views. Only 3 people had seen it, and it had been uploaded 12 minutes ago. That didn't make sense. Videos don't just appear like that. Not normally, not without a reason. I felt a strange sensation in my chest. Not fear exactly, not yet. Just a deep discomfort, like standing too close to the edge of something very deep without realizing it. My finger hovered over the trackpad. Every logical part of my brain was screaming at me to ignore it, to scroll past it and forget it ever existed. But curiosity is so much stronger than logic. Curiosity doesn't care about consequences, it only cares about answers. Before I could stop myself, I clicked. The screen went black instantly. No sound, no movement, just darkness. For a moment, I thought the video wasn't loading. I almost closed the tab. But then, slowly, the darkness began to change. The image faded in gradually, revealing something that made my entire body go completely still. It was a room. The camera angle was positioned high in the corner of the ceiling, pointing downward, like a security camera. The video quality was poor, filled with grain and distortion, but the details were still visible. A bed, a desk, a chair, a window. Everything looked ordinary. Nothing unusual, nothing threatening. But the longer I looked at it, the more something inside me began to tighten into a cold, hard knot. Because I knew this room. I didn't just recognize it, I knew it intimately. Every detail. The small crack in the wall above the desk that I had noticed months ago and kept forgetting to fix. The way the chair leaned slightly to the left, the half-open drawer that never fully closed no matter how hard I pushed it. The empty glass of water sitting right near the edge of my desk. It was my room, exactly as it was, exactly as it looked right now. My breathing slowed to a crawl. My hands became ice cold. I immediately turned my head and looked around my real room, comparing it to the video. Everything matched perfectly. Every single object, every shadow, every position. It was identical. My mind scrambled to find an explanation. Maybe it was an elaborate prank. Maybe it was some kind of incredibly advanced editing. Maybe someone was copying my room. But none of that made sense. No one had been here. No one had seen this room except me. And then something in the video moved. I froze. There was someone sitting on the bed. At first, the figure was just a dark silhouette, barely visible in the shadows. But slowly, as the camera seemed to adjust its focus, the image became clearer. And in that moment, my heart dropped into my stomach. Because the person sitting there wasn't just someone who looked like me. It was me, not similar, not close, exactly me. The same face, the same clothes I was wearing right now, the same posture, the same everything. I felt a wave of cold spread through my entire body. I looked down at myself, then back at the screen. It was a perfect, terrifying mirror. In the video, I was sitting on the bed completely still, staring forward at nothing. My face looked pale, empty, like I had already accepted something terrible was about to happen. My eyes darted to the timestamp in the corner of the video, 2:44 a.m. My hands immediately moved to check the clock on my laptop, 2:18 a.m. My stomach just dropped. The video wasn't showing the present, it was showing the future. I stared at the screen, unable to move, unable to think properly. My brain kept searching for logic, for any explanation that made sense, but nothing did. This was impossible. Then suddenly, the version of me in the video moved. Slowly, unnaturally, he lifted his head and looked directly at the camera. His eyes were wide, terrified, not confused, not surprised, just pure unadulterated terror. Like he knew something I didn't. Like he had already seen something that had completely broken him. My breathing became shallow. My heart was pounding against my ribs. I couldn't look away. And then his lips began to move. He was trying to say something. I leaned closer to the screen, trying to understand, trying to hear something that had no sound. He mouthed a single word. Don't. My entire body went rigid. Don't. What? Don't watch. Don't move. Don't exist. Before I could even process the question, the screen suddenly glitched violently. Static filled the entire image. A loud, distorted noise erupted from my speakers. It sounded like breathing, but not my breathing. Something else. Something close. Very, very close. I quickly slammed the mute button, my fingers shaking uncontrollably. When the image returned a second later, he was gone. The bed was empty. The room was empty, just like my room was now. Then, white text appeared in the center of the black screen. Live in 26 minutes. I looked at the time again. Las 12:18 am. Exactly 26 minutes before 2:44 am. My chest felt tight, like it was being crushed. My room felt different now. It wasn't safe. It wasn't familiar. It felt observed, watched, like something was already here with me, waiting. And for the first time in my entire life, I realized something that terrified me more than anything else I could possibly imagine. Whatever was going to happen, it had already been uploaded. The words stayed on the screen, live in 26 minutes. They didn't blink. They didn't fade. They just existed there, calm and certain, like time itself had already made the decision and nothing I did could change it. My room felt smaller now. The air felt tighter, harder to breathe. I became aware of every sound around me, the faint hum of my laptop, the slow rotation of the ceiling fan, my own heartbeat, loud and uneven inside my chest. I looked at the time again. 2:19 am, 25 minutes left. I told myself it wasn't real. It couldn't be real. It had to be some kind of trick, a pre-recorded video, an edited clip, someone messing with me. But that explanation didn't explain how the room in the video looked exactly like mine at that exact moment. The same objects, same lighting, the same open drawer, even the same shadows. I slowly turned my head toward my door. It was closed, exactly like in the video. A strange thought entered my mind, one I didn't want but couldn't stop. What if the video wasn't predicting the future? What if it was showing something that had already happened? My throat felt dry. I swallowed, but it didn't help. I moved the cursor slightly, checking the video timeline. It was longer than I thought, much longer. The part I had seen was only the beginning. There was more, a lot more. My hand hesitated over the timeline bar. Every instinct told me to stop, to close the laptop, to walk away. But fear doesn't always make you run. Sometimes it makes you look closer. I slowly dragged the timeline forward. The screen flickered and the image changed. It was still my room. Still the same camera angle. Still the same silence. But now the version of me in the video was standing. He wasn't on the bed anymore. He was near the door, completely still, facing it, watching it, waiting. My breathing stopped. He wasn't touching the door. He wasn't opening it. He was just standing there. Like he knew something was on the other side. I instinctively looked at my real door. It hadn't moved. It was still closed. But now it didn't feel like protection. It felt like separation. Like something was only being held back temporarily. I looked back at the screen. The version of me in the video slowly raised his hand. Not quickly, not suddenly. Slowly, like he was afraid of what would happen next. His fingers touched the door handle, and then the video glitched. The image distorted violently. Static filled the screen again. That same distorted breathing sound returned. Louder this time. Closer. My chest tightened instantly. I checked my speakers. They were muted. The sound wasn't coming from the laptop. It was coming from somewhere else. From inside the room, I froze. Every muscle in my body locked. I listened carefully. The breathing stopped. Complete silence returned, but the silence didn't feel empty anymore. It felt occupied. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just listened. Seconds passed. Nothing happened. Slowly, carefully, I looked back at the laptop screen. The video had continued. The door was open now, but I hadn't seen it open. The video had skipped that moment. Skipped the most important part. The version of me was standing in the doorway, frozen, his back facing the camera, his posture stiff, like his body had stopped responding. Like something in front of him had removed his ability to move. I leaned closer to the screen, trying to see what he was looking at. But the hallway outside my room was dark, completely dark, darker than it should have been. There were no lights, no shapes, just blackness. Then suddenly he stepped backward, slowly, like he was retreating from something. His movements were weak, unstable, his hand was shaking. And then he looked directly at the camera again. His face was worse now, much worse. His eyes were wider, his skin looked pale. His mouth was slightly open like he was trying to breathe but couldn't get enough air. He lifted his hand again, pointing not at the door, at the camera, at me. My heart started racing violently. He was pointing directly at me, not at the camera, at me, because I was watching, because I was there, because this was happening to me. My hand started shaking. I grabbed the butt. Something stopped me. Movement. Behind him. In the hallway, something shifted in the darkness. Something tall, too tall. Its shape was wrong. Its proportions were wrong. It didn't move like a person. It didn't step forward. It just appeared closer. Like distance didn't apply to it. The version of me in the video froze completely. He stopped breathing. Stopped moving. Stopped existing. The thing in the hallway leaned slightly. Not walking. Not stepping. Just adjusting like it was observing him. Studying him. Deciding something. The video suddenly cut to black. My screen reflected my face, pale, frozen, terrified. I realized something then. This wasn't random. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't just happening to me. This had happened before. My hands moved quickly. I exited the video. My fingers typed the channel name. The same random characters. The channel opened. No profile picture. No description. No banner. Just videos. Dozens of them. All with the same format. Black thumbnails, white text titles. Different times, different dates, different people. Your final moments 3:12 a.m. Your final moments 1:03 a.m. Your final moments 4:51 a.m. Each one had almost no views. 1 view, 2 views, sometimes 0. My breathing became uneven. These weren't popular videos. These weren't meant to be seen. They were meant to be watched by one person. The person in the video. I clicked on one randomly. The video opened. A different room. A different person. Sitting alone, just like me, watching, waiting. And then the same thing happened. The door, the darkness, the figure, the end. I quickly closed it. My hands were shaking badly now. I checked the time again, 2:31 a.m. 13 minutes left. My chest tightened painfully. I understood now. This wasn't showing possibilities. It was showing inevitability. This wasn't predicting the future. It was documenting it. I didn't know how. I didn't know why. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. The video wasn't lying. And whatever was coming was already on its way. 2:31 a.m. 13 minutes. That was all the time left between me and whatever the video had shown. My eyes stayed locked on the clock in the corner of my laptop screen. Each second passed normally, calmly, like nothing was wrong, like the world wasn't about to break. But inside me, everything was different. My breathing was shallow, my chest felt tight, my hands were cold. I told myself to think logically. This had to be fake. There had to be an explanation. Someone had to be controlling this. Someone had to be watching me. That thought hit harder than anything else. Watching me, not in the past, not in the future, right now. I slowly lifted my eyes from the screen and looked around my room again. The walls were still. The shadows hadn't moved. The door was still closed. But something felt different. The room didn't feel empty anymore. It felt aware. I don't know how else to explain it. It felt like the room itself was waiting. I quickly grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The bright beam cut through the darkness, landing on the door. Nothing, just the same door I had seen every day. The same handle, the same scratches near the bottom, the same harmless object. But it didn't feel harmless anymore. I stood up slowly. My legs felt weak. Every step toward the door felt heavier than it should have been. My brain screamed at me to stop, to stay where I was, because the version of me in the video had walked to the door and that was when everything changed. I stopped halfway, my hand trembling. I couldn't do it. I couldn't touch it. I stepped back, my breathing uneven, my heart racing. I told myself I wouldn't follow the video. I wouldn't repeat what it showed. I would stay right here. I would wait. I would do nothing. Maybe that would change it. Maybe that would stop it. I sat back down on the bed, my eyes locked on the door. The silence returned, thick, heavy, unnatural. And then my laptop made a sound, a soft sound, like a notification. I turned my head slowly. The YouTube page was open again, but I hadn't touched it. The same video, but something had changed. The red progress bar had moved forward. The video was continuing, by itself. My chest tightened instantly. I leaned closer. The camera still showed my room. The same angle, the same perspective, the same impossible viewpoint. And there I was, sitting on the bed, exactly as I was now. Watching the screen, my blood turned cold. It wasn't showing the future anymore. It was showing the present. Live. Exactly live. Every movement I made, he made. Every breath I took, he took. There was no delay, no difference, no separation. It wasn't a recording anymore. It was a mirror. But the camera in the video was still in the corner of the ceiling, and there was no camera in my room. I slowly looked up at the corner of my ceiling. Nothing was there. Just empty space. But the video proved otherwise. Something was watching me. Something that didn't need a camera. Something that was already here. My breathing became faster. My mind raced. I grabbed the laptop and tried to close it. The screen froze. It didn't respond. The video continued. The version of me on screen suddenly stopped moving, but I hadn't stopped moving. He froze before I did. My heart skipped. He was ahead now, not matching me, leading me, predicting me. He slowly turned his head toward the door. I froze, because I hadn't turned yet. He was seeing something before I could. My chest tightened painfully. I didn't want to look. Every instinct told me not to look, but I couldn't stop myself. Slowly, carefully, I turned my head toward the door. And that was when I heard it. A sound, soft, almost nothing, but real. A faint movement from the other side of the door. My entire body went numb. My breathing stopped. My mind screamed to run, but I couldn't move. I looked back at the screen. The version of me was standing now, but I was still sitting. He was ahead, still ahead. He walked slowly toward the door, one step, then another. His hand lifted, reaching for the handle. I wasn't moving, I refused. I stayed still. But on the screen he touched it. The handle turned, and in my real room the handle moved by itself. A small movement, but enough. Enough to destroy every piece of logic I had left. I stared at it, frozen. The handle slowly turned further. A quiet clicking sound filled the room. My heart pounded violently. The door opened slightly. Just a few inches. Darkness filled the gap. Not normal darkness, deeper, thicker, wrong. I looked back at the screen. The version of me was gone. He wasn't in the room anymore. The camera showed an empty room. My room empty. My breathing became uneven. I slowly lifted my eyes toward my door. And that was when I realized the truth. The video had never been showing my death. It had been showing my disappearance. My laptop screen suddenly changed. The video ended, and a new video appeared instantly. Same black thumbnail. Same white text. But this time, the title was different. It said, "Your final moments uploaded." The view count said, 0 views. And the thumbnail was my room, empty. The door open. Darkness inside. Waiting the upload time, 2:44 a.m. Exactly now. My hands trembled. My breathing stopped because I understood. The channel didn't predict deaths. It collected them, documented them, uploaded them. And now I was the next video. The last thing I remember was the darkness behind the door. Moving. Make sure to subscribe Last Evidence channel for more shocking stories and creepy videos.